Hello, students. Today we are going to learn an interesting topic in English grammar called sentence pattern. Every sentence in English follows a pattern, children. So, sentence pattern is nothing but the arrangement of words in a sentence. Sentence pattern shows how the sentence is formed. Children, you know what is a sentence? Sentence is a group of words that are put together to make a complete sense. So those arrangement of words should be in a grammatically correct structure. So only then you can make your sentences meaningful and effective. So in this video, let's learn how to make correct sentences using different patterns. Components of the sentence pattern. That is, a sentence in English may have 5 parts, and they are subject, verb, object, complement, and adjunct. So, shall we learn these components one by one now? What is a subject? Subject is the doer of the action or what is being spoken about. Subject denotes a noun or a pronoun. It occurs before a verb. Subject gives answer to the questions who or which. So now let's look into some examples. Stella sang a song. Ram wrote a letter. Asia is the largest continent in the world. Ram and Arjun are friends. In the first sentence, Stella sang a song. Who does the action singing, children? Yes, it's Stella. You ask a question to the sentence, who sang a song? It's Stella. So Stella is the subject. Likewise, in the second sentence, Ram wrote a letter. Who does the action writing here? It's Ram. You can ask a question, who wrote a letter? The answer comes here is Ram. So Ram is the doer of the action, which is the subject. In the next sentence, Asia is the largest continent in the world. So, what is being spoken about in this sentence, children? About Asia. So, Asia is the subject. You can ask a question, which is the largest continent in the world? The answer will be Asia. So, Asia is the subject. Coming to the last sentence, Ram and Arjun are friends. So, here, who are friends? Ram and Arjun. So, who are being spoken in this sentence? Ram and Arjun, and therefore it is a subject. What is a verb, children? Verb is just a word that shows an action or a state of being. State means a situation. Now, look at the examples given here. Ravi bought a new car. They are playing in the park. Ram was tired. The children are hungry. Sam has 2 pencils. In the first 2 sentences, the action words, that is, the physical activities like bought and playing, are done. Whereas in the other 3 sentences, you do not find any action words. You have only the auxiliary verbs was, are, and has that expresses the state or the situation. So verbs plays a major role in a sentence. It is a soul of a sentence. It usually follows the subject. It expresses the action done by the subject. It is an important part of a sentence, and verbs consist of auxiliaries and finite verbs. Now, let's look in detail about the auxiliary verbs and finite verbs. When a verb is used in a sentence, it can be used in 2 ways. It can either be used as a main verb in a sentence or it can be used as an auxiliary verb. Auxiliary verb is also called as helping verb. It helps the main verb in a sentence. Now, the auxiliary verb in turn divides into primary verbs and modal verbs. The most important primary verbs are be verbs, do verbs, and have verbs. Be verbs are nothing but am, is, was, are, and were. Do verbs are do, does, and did. Have verbs are has, have, and had. And coming to this modal verbs. Modal verbs are the words that expresses the speaker's intention. And modal verbs are 13 in numbers, and they are can, could, shall, should, will, would, may, might, must, need, dare, used to, and ought to. Now, what is the difference between the main verbs and the auxiliary verb, children? The difference is that the main verbs are the action words that shows or expresses the physical activity or the process. For example, the words like come, sit, prepare, kick, climb, write are the words that expresses the physical activity or the process. Now, look at this example. I have a large family. Does this sentence tell us about doing any physical action? No. It just tells us the state of the family, a large family. Now let's look at an example that has both auxiliary and the main verb. Lucy is working now. Now children, can you tell me what are the verbs in this sentence? Yes, you have two verbs here, is and working. So which is the main verb here? The main verb is working because the main verb working shows the action that is happening. Then what about that is, children? What is it doing? Is a helping verb that shows the tense of the sentence. We know that Lucy is working now because I said Lucy is working. If I say Lucy was working, then we talk about the past. So children, the helping verbs shows the tense of the sentence. Let's see what is an object. Object is the receiver of an action from the subject. It consists of noun or a pronoun. Object is of two types, children, direct object and indirect object. If the answer comes to the question what, then it is the direct object that denotes a thing. If the answer comes to the question to whom, then that is the indirect object that denotes a person. Now look at these sentences, children. I threw the ball. In this sentence, I is the subject, threw is the verb, and what is this? The ball. The ball is the object. You just ask a question. What is being thrown? The ball. So what is the answer that comes to the question what? The ball. So the ball is the object that denotes a thing. Children like chocolates. In this sentence, children is the subject, like is the verb, and chocolates is the object. So what do children like? You ask a question what? What do children like? They like chocolates. So what comes as an answer to the question what, children? Chocolates. So chocolates is the direct object. So we will look at some more examples. So in these sentences, you find both direct object and indirect object to be present in these sentences. Payal gave Rupa a book. So in this sentence, Payal is the subject, gave is the verb, and Rupa is the indirect object. Okay, so what is being given to Rupa? A book. So a book is the direct object. So what comes as the answer to the question what? What is being given? A book. So a book is the direct object that denotes a thing. To whom the book was given? To whom the book was given, children? It was given to Rupa. So what was the answer to the question to whom? Rupa. So Rupa is the indirect object. Likewise, look at the next sentence. Please pass me the salt. Here, what is the direct object? The salt. Okay, so what was told to pass, children? What was requested to pass? The salt. So what comes as an answer to the question what? The salt. So the salt is a thing which is a direct object. Then the salt. Okay, to whom the salt was passed? The salt was passed to me. Okay, to whom it was being passed? So to me. So me is the indirect object that denotes a person, which is the pronoun. Next sentence. We presented a watch to him. So in this sentence, we is the subject, presented is the verb. What is being presented? What is the answer? A watch. So what is being presented, children? A watch. So a watch is a direct object that denotes a thing. And now you ask a question, to whom the watch was presented? To whom the watch was presented? To him. Okay, so to him is the indirect object. Okay, that denotes a person. So you have understood this concept, children. So object is of two types, direct object and indirect object. So if something answers to the question what, then that is the direct object. If it answers to the question to whom, then that is the indirect object. Now let's see what is complement. Complement is one of the component in a sentence that gives complete meaning to the sentence. Complement can be a noun or an adjective. Complement is of two kinds, subject complement and object complement. What is subject complement, children? The word that complements the subject. That is, when it talks about the subject in a sentence, then it's called subject complement. Then what is this object complement? The word that complements the object. That is, if it talks or gives information about the object in a sentence, then it's said to be an object complement. Children, there is another easy way to identify the complement in a sentence. As I said earlier, complement can be an adjective. So, if it is an adjective or if it denotes professions, if it denotes colors, and if be verbs comes alone in a sentence, then you find a complement there in the sentence. And one thing you remember, children, if you remove complement from a sentence, then the sentence becomes incomplete. Now let us look into some examples. Nisha is a doctor. Here the word Nisha is a subject. His is a verb. And what is this a doctor? A doctor is called a complement. Why it is called complement, children? Because complement a doctor talks about the subject Nisha. It gives information about the subject Nisha. As it talks about the Nisha, so a doctor is called as complement. In particular, you can say it is a subject complement. Coming to next sentence, the street is narrow. Here again, the street is a subject, is a verb, and narrow is a complement. So the word narrow talks about the street, talks about the subject, the street. So narrow is a complement. As you know, narrow is an adjective describing word. So here it describes the subject, the street. So it is called as subject complement. The previous example, you see children, doctor is a profession. It's a profession of a person. So it's a complement. Coming to next sentence, the team elected Ram captain. Here, what is the subject? The team is the subject. Elected is the verb. And what is this Ram, children? Ram is an object. So, who is being elected? Ram is being elected. If something answer to the questions whom, it's an indirect object, you know. Okay, so now what is this captain? Captain is a complement. So now tell me, children, does this complement captain talks about the subject the team, or it talks about the object Ram? Yes, it talks about the object Ram. Ram has been elected as captain. So captain is a complement. In particular, you can say it is an object complement. Why? Because it talks about the object. The last sentence, mother keeps her kitchen clean. Here mother is a subject, keeps is a verb, her kitchen is an object. Then tell me what is clean? Clean is a complement. So here the complement clean, does it describes or talks about the mother, or it talks about the object her kitchen? Yes, it talks about the object. Okay, her kitchen. So clean is called as object complement. So students, I hope you understood this complement. So now let's look into adjunct. Adjunct. Adjunct is a word or a group of words that gives additional information to a sentence. It tells us how, when, where, and why a particular action is done. Children, adjunct can come anywhere in a sentence. It is just an optional element in a sentence. So even if you remove the adjunct from the sentence, it will not change the meaning of the sentence. Let's look at the examples of adjunct. Look at the first sentence, children. The children played happily. The children played happily. So in this sentence, the children is the subject, played is the verb, and what is this happily, children? Yes, happily is an adjunct. As I said, adjunct tells you how, when, where, and why the action takes place. So you just ask a question to the sentence, how do the children play? The answer to the question how is happily. So happily is the adjunct. Next sentence, E is a doctor now. Okay, in this sentence, E is a subject, S is a verb, and what is this a doctor? Tell me, children. So, a doctor is the complement. Why? Because it tells you, it talks about the subject. So, a doctor is the complement. And now tell me, what is this now? So, now it is an adjunct. You ask a question, when is a doctor? Okay, so what is the answer coming to the question when? Now. So now is the adjunct. Next sentence, Mahir is a pilot in Delhi. So Mahir is the subject, is a verb, a pilot is again a complement. It talks about the subject Mahir. So now in Delhi is the adjunct. So in Delhi is the adjunct. So you ask a question, where? Where Mahir is a pilot? Okay, where he is working? Where he is working as a pilot? In Delhi. So what is the answer coming to the question where? In Delhi. So in Delhi is the adjunct. Next sentence, I bought a book last week. So here I is the subject, bought is the verb, a book. What is being bought? A book. So if something answers to the question what, then that is called as direct object. Object. A book is the object. Now what is this last week? You ask a question, children. When? When the book was being bought? Last week. So what is the answer that comes to the question when? When the book was bought? Last week. So last week is the adjunct. Look at the last sentence, children. We rarely go to beach. So we is the subject and rarely. Okay, so rarely is the adjunct. You ask a question. How often do they go to beach? How often? So rarely. So what is the answer for the question how often? Rarely. So rarely is the adjunct. And where do they go rarely? Where do they go? They go to beach. So what is the answer that comes to the question where? To beach. So to beach is the adjunct in this sentence. So children, we have seen all the 5 parts of the sentence pattern. In your English paper, you will be given a sentence and asked to find out or identify the pattern for the given sentence. So if you understand these 5 components clearly, you can easily identify the pattern. So shall we identify the pattern for the few sentences now? Yes. Your first sentence, they manufactured tires. Here, what is they, children? They is the subject, doer of the action. Or you ask a question, who manufactured tires? The answer will be they. So if it answers to the question who, then that is the subject. Next, manufacture denotes the action. So manufacture is verb. And what is this tires, children? Tires is the object. You ask a question, what they manufactured. If it answers to the question what, then that is the object. So what is the sentence pattern of this sentence, children? SVO. Your next sentence, she gave me coffee. Here, doer of the action is she, so it is the subject. What is gave, children? Gave denotes the action, so gave is the verb. And what is this me? Me is the indirect object. You raise a question, you ask a question, to whom the coffee was given. Okay, if it answer to the question whom, then that is the indirect object. Then what is this coffee? What was being given, children? If it answers to the question what, then that is the direct object. So what is the pattern for the given sentence? She gave me coffee. Yes, we, I-O, D-O. The next sentence, we met a great writer in the library. Here, we is the subject, doer of the action. Then met is the action, so it is the verb. Whom they met, children, whom they met in the library. The answer is a great writer. So if it answers to the question whom, then that is the object. And where did they meet the great writer? In the library. So if it answers to the question where, then that is the adjunct. So the pattern for this sentence is SVOA. Your next sentence, he became a policeman. Here, E is the subject and became is the verb. And what is this a policeman, children? It is the complement. How you say it's a complement? Because a policeman talks about the subject E. So the pattern for this sentence is SVC. Next sentence, in the end, the judge declared the accused innocent. Here, in the end is the adjunct. How you say it's an adjunct? Because you just raise a question when. Okay, so when did the judge declare the accused innocent? In the end. It denotes when. Okay, it denotes the time. So, in the end is the adjunct. And doer of the action, who declared? It's the subject, the judge. And declare denotes the action. So declared is the verb. And the accused, whom the judge declared as innocent, children, the answer is accused. If the answer comes to the question whom, then that is the object. And the last word innocent is the complement. So how you say it's a complement? Because it describes the object. Okay, it talks about the object accused. Okay, so that is why innocent is the complement. Your last sentence, this morning at 5, I heard a noise. Here, this morning. What is this morning? It denotes the time. Okay. So when did I hear a noise? The answer to the question when is this morning. So if anything comes as an answer to the question when, then that is the adjunct. Next one, at 5. So again, it denotes the time. So you ask a question. So at what time I heard a noise? At 5. So at 5 is again an adjunct. And I is the subject. And heard denotes the action. So heard is the verb. And a noise. So what did they hear at 5 at this morning, children? A noise. So if anything answers to the question what. So what comes as an answer to the question what? A noise. So a noise is the object. So tell me what is the pattern for this sentence, children? EAASVO. So children, I hope you all have understood this sentence pattern. If you have any questions, let me know in the comment section. So I'll catch you up with the next grammar video. Thank you.